one day you return to your hometown, only to find that the streets you grew up in were replaced by shopping malls or parking lots? Would you feel shocked or would you feel surprised? Let's dig deeper. How to treat the traces left by history. In February, I was searching for resources on my essay project. An old photo of Beijing deeply shocked me. Calm and majestic city walls and gates, patchwork of hutongs and courtyards, gorgeous and elegant pagodas. It seems to tell the changes of dynasties and culture inheritance, and the change of life of people from generation to generation. At that moment, I imagined what it would be like to live in a hutong. Perhaps camel caravans passing by, cooling off under red bricks and green tiles. How far could I see from the towers? But then, I saw the images of many ancient buildings being demolished, and saw the unfamiliar Beijing after remodeling. Today's Beijing is magnificent. Tall buildings, wide streets, but less ancient flavor. People can no longer experience the authentic lifestyle of old Beijing. I could not help but feel sorry. Why tear them down? Is this happening around the world? That's where my idea comes in, to let more people be aware of the situation through the context of Beijing. Now, let's look at the historical context of Beijing in 1949, where a large scale of demolition took place. In 1949, Beiping liberated. The new China founded. Beijing, a city of a lot of waste, fails in being the societal image of a capital city. Also did not have enough space for state agencies to fit in. The ancient building was put up for debate. Should we preserve ancient building or allow rapid industrial construction? This led to the discussion of Liangcheng Program. In 1950s, Liang Sichen and Chen Zhanxiang jointly put forward the Liangcheng Program, advocating for the protection of ancient architectural clusters so that it becomes a rich cultural scenery of the old city, and at the same time open up a new city on the western outskirts for administrative center. It sounded ideal, but difficult to meet the actual needs of Beijing. In 1950s and 1960s, China's main task is to develop its industry and economy and to restore the prosperity to the old city. Liangcheng Program, with its focus on cultural construction, did not meet the urban orientation. Eventually, the central government rejected the Liangcheng Program, reached agreement with the Soviet Union experts, deciding to build an industrial zone in the original old city. The reason was also very simple, economic and fast. Therefore, Beijing began a large scale of demolition. Many of the ancient buildings, such as city walls, palaces, stone bridges, after 100 years of baptism of wind and rain, disappeared in just a few decades, seriously damaging the integrity of the old city, resulting in irreparable losses. The significance of ancient architecture, not just its symbolic meaning, but also the emotional resonance it evokes. A brick, a tile, a stone, a wood. Behind all hide countless people's memories of life and emotional belongings. We say that leaves return to their roots. But if the roots are gone, where to return? Well, during widespread demolition, some scholars and leaders remained committed to preserving ancient architecture. Zhou Enlai, for example, actively advocating for their protection. Though not an architect, he deeply understood the historical, scientific, and cultural value of Chinese traditional buildings. Under his leadership, the regulations such as the provisional regulations on the protection and management of cultural relics was introduced. Thanks to his persistence, we can now walk through the Forbidden City and Beihai Park to admire the splendor of ancient architecture and feel the weight of history. Without the dedication of these figures, we must lose a part of our heritage and disconnect with the historic narratives learned in school. The debate over whether to preserve or demolish still exists today. But before making such decisions, I come up with 3 simple questions for everyone to consider. Do high-rises always represent progress? Are old houses and city walls really sign of backwardness? Should we keep chasing economic growth or pause and reflect on the quiet corner of streets? In fact, the temperature of a street, the breath of a community, the soul of a city, often hides in the quietest corner. Yet in our fast-paced life, we rush through the crowded streets chasing efficiency and productivity, and forget to slow down, to wander through narrow alleys, to lean on the ancient city walls and roof tiles, and reflect on the direction of our lives. Fortunately, during widespread demolition, some scholars remained committed. Over 2,000 of city planners in China are now becoming aware of the value of ancient architecture. On May 18, 2020, Beijing set its goal to build a history of museum, pointing the way toward a future where preservation and development can coexist. Since the late 20th century, the efforts to restore and rebuild the historic structures steadily increased. In 1984, the Bell and Drum Tower was restored. In 1990, the pagoda in front of the Temple of Earth was reconstructed in its original Qing Dynasty style, and the pagoda complex on Suzhou Street was also rebuilt, bringing ancient architecture back into public view and cultural life. In 2021, the State Council issued the 14th Five-Year Plan for the protection and innovation of cultural relics, like improving relic safety, advancing technological innovation in preservation, and respiring vitality in museums, offering a strong framework for protecting and revitalizing Chinese ancient building. In 1950s, under the leadership of Liang Sicheng, China's effort to protect ancient buildings began, though filled with regrets. Liang and his team laid the foundation for protecting ancient buildings. With their foresight, courage to innovate, and the unwavering spirit in the face of difficulties, we're able to still experience this Chinese heritage. This struggle is not unique to China. Around the world, ancient buildings have suffered under the pressure of modernization. In Italy, Florence, the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore was seriously damaged during wartime. In the United States, the Pennsylvania Station was reduced to rubble by armed conflict. In Syria, the ancient city of Palmyra was reduced. These losses constantly remind us cultural heritage is fragile and at risk. The awareness is only the first step. We also need action. As individuals, we can visit and support historic sites, share their stories, and speak out against careless demolition. Communities can repurpose the ancient buildings instead of replacing them, like turning courtyards into book cafes or museums. Government can strengthen legal protection and ensures that development respects cultural heritage. Globally, we need cooperation, sharing funds, expertise, and technology to protect endangered architecture everywhere. Only when preservation becomes a shared responsibility can ancient architecture truly survive and thrive in our modern world. As planners and builders in our cities, we hold the responsibilities to balance legacy, protection, and progress, giving ancient buildings renewed vitality in our modern age. To our fellow audience, let's cooperate before it's too late. Thanks.